Hello my beautiful Moglets. Today we're taking a look at Landy. They just released this preview video. Hopefully we can get some nice details. And yeah, I'll share my own thoughts, first impressions, you know how it goes. Well, let's get this party started. There she is. We're gonna take a look at her ultimate animation.
My secret weapon. Respect the great Landy. I'm Landy, Felicia's chief of police. If you notice anyone suspicious or have a lead for me, don't hesitate to let me know.
Yeah, this is like super mecha time now. Is this not our first law enforcement waifu? I mean, I know we have some like, you know, political high powers and all that, but an actual police officer? I don't think so. Alright, there wasn't much of a backstory, mainly just about like the voice acting, which is cool too, but let's just get into the mechanics. Oh wait, I spoke too soon. Here's the backstory. We'll do a little voiceover like we did before. The chief of police of Felicia, Landy, is a woman of principles, who works hard to do what's best for her city. She is an automatic doll, but an older version that was made a very long time ago. Despite being an older model, Landy doesn't replace her parts. She adores Flan, the newer version of her model, and thinks of her as a little sister. And since she is an older model, that makes her what humans call an older sister. While the older models are more durable than the latest models, the functionality of the older models is a little less than the recent versions, which makes it feel slightly outdated. Created in a time where the atmosphere with foreigners was better than now, she is relatively kind to non-citizens, and believes that keeping law and order is vital. Sounds just like technology. And now we get to her stats. So she's a 5-star Earth Elemental Ranger, decently high attack from what I can see, health, pretty high for a ranger. Speed is average for a ranger, they're always fast. Yeah, 23 crit chance is always good. Let's see what they say. Yeah, high attack and health compared to other rangers. Imprint releases effect resistance, which is kind of weird for a ranger in my opinion, but fine. You can also do imprint concentration just to give herself some attack. And the most important / exciting, skill introduction. Let's go. Starting straight off with skill 3, full burst. Fires at all enemies and grants the caster increased speed for 2 turns. When fighting spirit is full, consumes all fighting spirit to increase damage dealt and increase combat readiness of all allies by 15%. This skill cannot trigger a counterattack. Well, to be honest, it doesn't sound super impressive right now. A skill like this will mainly depend on her multipliers and on the rest of her skills to see how fast we can get fighting spirit, and of course how much damage it'll deal. So a lot of hidden variables with this skill that we're gonna have to wait and see for. I guess we can get a sort of hint or idea about her damage here, if it's at least somewhat consistent across videos. Yeah, that was a pretty good amount of damage. Oh, okay, but her passive seems OP. So she'll increase her attack up to 10% after skill enhance, which can stack up to 5 times, so 50% attack. And she gains her fighting spirit for each buff granted to an enemy. And when her fighting spirit is full, it'll reset the cooldown. So if there's like an FFC in there and like one other person with an immunity set or whatever, she'll have full fighting spirit on her turn. Of course, her skills will be off cooldown anyway, so the reset skill cooldown won't help for the first turn, but you will get the extra damage from having full spirit as well as giving your allies 15% combat readiness. So that was the main thing I was thinking of, how fast you can get this full focus. And yeah, I would say in most teams you could get it like on first turn. There's always like at least one immunity set. So in most cases she can get her focus filled rather quickly. And of course in longer battles she's going to have a 50% attack buff, which is pretty nice. It's still really going to depend on the damage of her S3 though. We found out she can get fighting spirit quickly, which means extra damage, combat readiness push. And then we have skill 1, which is fire. You will acquire 20 spirit for using this. And it's basically just a damage skill with some combat readiness for herself, no debuffs. In fact, she has no debuffs at all, which is a nice thing for me personally, means you don't have to build any effectiveness. That does go up to 15% combat readiness and a massive 30% when you're hitting a buffed enemy. Definitely a lot of combat readiness for a basic skill, but that's her skill set. Honestly, just on paper, it doesn't seem like she's going to be able to do a lot of damage. There are a lot of things you can stack, so it seems like she's going to have low multipliers because she has so much potential to build up. But it's like her first turn attack with that ult probably won't do much. It's too early to say right now. I don't believe the skill multipliers are out yet, but I can check. Nope, not at the time of recording anyway. Well, maybe they are somewhere, but my 2 sources don't have them. So yeah, it's very much a wait and see situation, but if I were to have to predict, I'd say her first turn ult is going to be pretty mediocre even if she has full focus, and then it'll just be decent once she gets that those 5 stacks of attack from her passive. She does have decently high attack for a ranger, but it's still not that high. She starts with 23 crit chance, so, you know, it's a little bit easier to get that higher and then invest in some other stats. Decent speed, so stats all around are fine. She doesn't really bring much utility to the table, and I fear that her ult isn't going to do all that much either. Maybe I'm wrong, hope I am, but yeah, the only thing besides damage she does is a 15% combat readiness boost when she uses ult while having fighting spirit, and that's it. So she brings no utility to her team, only buffs herself, so if her skills don't do a good amount of damage, she is, yeah, not very good. And that's really what it's going to depend on. We also do have an artifact over here, Wall of Order. Also, she does kind of seem more like a tank waifu with those big shields, but she's a ranger. She does have higher HP than usual, but for what reason really? She doesn't like support the team at all. But anyway, here's her artifact, Wall of Order. Let's check that out. At the start of the turn, for each buff granted to an enemy. Yeah, she really hates buffs. It's all about countering the buff meta. Is there a buff meta? Has an 8% chance to grant the caster increased attack greater for 1 turn. After using an attack that targets all enemies, increases combat readiness of the caster by 10%. Well, it says here for each buff granted to an enemy, so I'm not sure if they mean all buffs, or they're really just going to pick one enemy over there, multiply by 8%, how many buffs they have. If it was all, then yeah, it would be a really good artifact, basically guaranteed to start with increased attack greater on some teams. Not really guaranteed. Granted, you max it out at least, which is no easy feat. So, final thoughts. I guess if you're not trying to cleave with her, she could do really good things. Like, she potentially could have her ult almost every turn, depending on how many buffs, you know? And then that's also like a 15% combat readiness increase for your team. And she's one part of a 4-unit team, so she does have pretty naturally high health. So if you could like protect her, and she can just be doing AoE ults every turn, then yeah, maybe. I still think it would need to do at least a somewhat decent amount of damage, even from the start, to really be viable, because as far as I'm aware, the meta is still very much bruiser / tank focused, so you can whittle them down with her, but yeah, again, she doesn't provide much for her team. So on paper, in my opinion, she doesn't sound all that good, because I'm assuming right now her ultimate isn't going to do that much. So like even in the perfect scenario where you're letting the enemy have at least 5 buffs every turn, her turn comes around and you can spam her ult. If it's not going to do much damage and just going to provide a speed buff to herself, it's like, meh, okay, cool. They're not getting defense broken, not getting stunned, nothing, you know? I'll probably still summon for her as she is a new hero, but at least for now, I'm not that excited. But yeah, make sure to tell me what you think in the comments down below. Also down there is the like button you can smash and the subscribe button you can smash, and anything else there that is to smash, go ahead and smash it. Thanks, as always, for watching. And until next time.